guys are excited about this fight, but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm.
If Crawford pulls the upset, it's going to be because of Canelo's hubris.
Terence Crawford has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Terence Crawford, where is he? He's making his way up here.
The decline of Canelo has been very, very small, but the decline of Canelo has already begun. I don't know if I can say the same thing about Crawford, but when you look at almost 70 fights, he's almost 70 fights, right, for Canelo Alvarez.
But if I was a Canelo fan, I would be nervous.
A narrow points decision for Saul Canelo Alvarez that everybody feels is very controversial.
You can't be the best if you ducking some fighters. It will ruin your legacy, it will ruin your name.
The grand arrival of Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez sparked a tense face-off, leaving fans buzzing with excitement. However, as Terence Crawford arrived at the grand ceremony at Allegiant Stadium, the sound of boos filled the arena, with Max Kellerman pointing out that the crowd was overwhelmingly in support of Canelo Alvarez. Crawford dismissed the reaction, saying he was accustomed to being booed and likened it to the atmosphere he experienced when he fought Ricky Burns. He vowed to silence Canelo's supporters when fight night arrives and smack.
A lot of boos when you came in. This is going to be a pro-Canelo crowd. How you feeling about that?
Oh, this ain't nothing different than when I went to Scotland and fought Ricky Burns. So I'm cool with it.
It's nothing different. At Allegiant Stadium, the biggest fight since Pacquiao and Mayweather?
Hey, listen, they all gonna be quiet come Saturday. It's cool. I've been booed before. Hey, listen, they can't fight for them, so it don't matter.
And when they say you're gonna run, what do you have to tell them?
I already said it before. Before we got here, I said, I'm gonna run upside his head.
Furthermore, Crawford fired back at Canelo's supporters, declaring that on fight night, he will make every one of them cry. He went a step further, jabbing that he hopes they put heavy money on Alvarez so that they can watch all their bets go down the drain.
Listen, I love each and every one of y'all, but come Saturday, y'all gonna be crying like I said. I hope y'all put a lot of money on the fight, too.
On the other hand, when Canelo Alvarez stepped into the event, the crowd erupted with cheers, whistles, and chants of his name. Canelo embraced the moment, saying the aura and atmosphere surrounding this matchup is exactly why it will be the biggest fight yet. He pointed to the massive audience expected, backed by the biggest streaming platform, the top promoters, and the grand stage of the largest stadium.
Oh, he's one of the biggest, for sure.
Because I'm thinking maybe it's the biggest stadium fight.
Oh, if you mean about what is around the fight, yeah, it's the biggest.
It'll be seen by the most people, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Stadium fight, the biggest event.
You're right.
And this has been your era, but you two are the last two standing from that era, right?
Yeah, you know, it's Riyadh season, Netflix, everybody around this fight. You can see that how big is this fight, you know, and you have two of the best pound fighters fighting each other. So Saturday, September 13th, we want to see who's the best.
Additionally, analyst Luke Thomas believes that if Terence Crawford pulls off an upset, it will likely come down to Canelo Alvarez's hubris. Thomas suggests that at this stage of his career, Canelo is choosing fights he is confident of winning, while avoiding matchups that carry real risk. He acknowledges that Crawford is a talented fighter with fewer miles on his body, but notes that he is older than Alvarez, and according to Luke, that will make a huge difference inside the ring.
If Canelo, or I should say, if Crawford pulls the upset, it's going to be because of Canelo's hubris. You know what I mean? Canelo is at the stage of his career where he's taking what he thinks are, obviously this is a huge pay opportunity, right? But, you know, he's not in it at this stage to risk losing to people he thinks he actually has to risk losing to. And I don't think he has taken a fight in quite some time that makes you think otherwise. So I think he believes that Crawford, and with good reason, BC, it's not like a crazy thought. Yeah, Crawford's good, but he's quite, relatively speaking, quite old. older than Canelo. Who has more miles is somewhat of a different debate, but, older than Canelo.
Luke, however, believes the fight favors Canelo Alvarez. He points out that Canelo is well adjusted to the weight and has already established himself as undisputed in this division. Given the current circumstances, Thomas expects Canelo to come out with the victory.
That's a tough thing to answer. Like, look at what Bud Crawford is up against. Very difficult circumstances. So,
no doubt.
Canelo should win this fight. He should win this fight.
Similarly, Gareth A. Davies revealed that he initially picked Terence Crawford, impressed by his skills, timing, and ring intelligence. However, as the weeks progressed, he shifted his support back to Canelo Alvarez. Davies predicts that the early stages of the fight will be a feeling-out process, with the first quarter expected to feature very close rounds.
I've got to say that I first of all went with Crawford. I thought his acuity and his skills and his and his timing and all those things that we've seen, I went with Crawford. But as the weeks have gone on, I've gone back to Canelo, and I think it will be a feeling out process early on. Very close rounds in the first 3 or 4. We'll be divided on who's winning. I think Canelo will get going in the second third of the fight and land some big shots. I think Crawford will look good as well. Rounds 6 to 9, we'll be looking at who's getting ascendancy in the fight. Crawford will have weathered the storm of the big Canelo punches, countered himself, still close rounds.
Nevertheless, Garrett believes Canelo Alvarez will push through Crawford's advances and ultimately secure the victory. He does not see Crawford putting away Canelo and points out that Crawford is a far better mover than many give him credit for. Davies also noted that the sheer power of Canelo's punches will present a new challenge for Terence.
I think Canelo will push away and in my view will win the fight. Because I don't think Crawford's going to put him away, and I think Canelo's a much better mover than people give him credit for, and I think Crawford will be hit more and hit harder than he's ever been hit before, but I don't think he'll go out or down, and if he does go down, he'll get up. I think it'll be a very, very close affair, and I think...
At the same time, Davies acknowledged that Crawford has an edge in movement and timing, but he expects the rounds to remain very close. He predicted that the fight could end a draw or a narrow points victory for Canelo Alvarez.
And I think even if in those last 6 rounds, Crawford's got Canelo's number in terms of movement and timing, I still think if it's very close in rounds, I think it'll either be a draw or a narrow points decision for Saul Canelo Alvarez that everybody feels is very controversial, and then they'll do it again. That's how I see it playing. That's the plot, if you like, with the subplots in the drama of one of the biggest fights we've seen in Vegas since, I think, comparatively, Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather.
Building on that, Brian Campbell noted that based on the odds, he does not believe the fight will be as close as oddmakers have suggested. He added that there's a lot of respect reflected in how the fight is being priced.
In the last 2 years, that was at 154, a close title capture against Israel Madrimov, but it's a virtual, in some ways, 3-division leap against a Canelo at 35, who has been very active. As we look at the DraftKings odds at this moment, this is wild that it's this close. It really is. Canelo minus 180, Crawford plus 145. I mean, there's a lot of respect being given to Zoe's backside and Crawford's chances in this fight on that line.
Meanwhile, with fight night just days away, talk is heating up about Canelo Alvarez dodging David Benavidez. Rolly Romero noted that Canelo is avoiding the toughest competition at his own weight, opting instead to face Terence Crawford, a natural 147-pounder who originally came up from 135.
But I hope everyone knows. I hope Crawford wins. I mean, I think Canelo's just way bigger than Crawford, and you don't just move up 2 weight divisions to fight, Yeah. But no, the problem with this is who's taking the risk? Crawford. Why is Canelo not fighting David Benavidez?
Yeah, that's not cool. Not cool.
No. Ask yourself that. Why is he fighting a 147, 154 pounder that was at 135?
Yeah.
And he's not fighting David Benavidez.
Well,
the only one actually taking a risk is Crawford.
However, Rolando pointed out that in this matchup, the only fighter truly taking a risk is Crawford.
Why is Canelo not fighting David Benavidez? That fight's been on the table for long before Crawford was even in a situation.
That's true.
They were at the same weight for how long?
For a while. But don't you give Canelo just a little bit of slack early on when he was saying they need to fight each other?
Why Canelo fought John Ryder and didn't fight David Benavidez? Wait. Canelo fought Edgar Berlanga and didn't fight David Benavidez. Canelo fought a 154-pound Charlo and didn't fight David Benavidez. Canelo fought William Skull and didn't fight.
Echoing that perspective, Sean Potter noted that while Canelo Alvarez's decline has been very gradual, it has nonetheless begun. He added that the same cannot be said for Terence Crawford. Observing Canelo's nearly 70 fights, Potter highlighted that he's no longer the same fighter he was in his first 50 bouts.
The decline of Canelo has been very, very small, but the decline of Canelo has already begun. I don't know if I can say the same thing about Crawford, but when you look at almost 70 fights, he's almost 70 fights, right, for Canelo Alvarez. That alone should give you the understanding that this guy isn't where he was when he had 50 fights. It's impossible. Respectfully, it's impossible. I don't know if you guys watch football, but we saw Tom Brady be almost electric until his end. But even in his end, he had moments where he didn't look like he did when he had 6 rings, when he had 5 rings. It just is a part of life.
In fact, Sean traced the shift back to the Caleb Plant fight, where Canelo adapted his style into fight intervals and applied pressure in bursts, signaling the start of his gradual decline.
So there's been a decline of Canelo probably since the fight with Caleb Plant, maybe, where I could see that he transformed his style into this style of being able to push the gas pedal when he wants to and let go of it when he wants to. And the benefit that he had in that was he had guys in the ring with him that had a level of fear, had a level of tentativeness, had a level of hesitancy that helped with him being able to go like this.
On the other hand, Joe Jordy reflected on Crawford's performances against Errol Spence, noting how every clean shot seemed to hurt Spence. He contrasted that with the Madrimov fight, pointing out that Crawford did not appear to carry the same effect. While praising Crawford as one of the most skilled boxers in the sport, he stressed that power matters in combat sports. He questioned whether Crawford's power would translate against Canelo Alvarez, especially since he's moving up multiple weight classes, and admitted it is difficult to imagine Crawford hurting Canelo.
Crawford coming into this fight, yes, he looked amazing against Errol Spence, but like every time he touched Errol Spence, he fucking hurt him. That was not the case with Madrimov. And for me, like as much as I think he's one of the most skilled boxers in the world, power still matters. And Crawford has had that in his disposal. And I just wonder if that's even more reduced against Canelo than it was Madrimov. It's hard to imagine Canelo getting touched by Crawford when he's coming up multiple weight classes and being like, oh shit, I can't take this. Considering the beatings he's just walked. I mean, even Bivol, light heavyweight, one of the most devastating fighters in the game.
Even so, Potter added that against Crawford, Canelo will not have the luxury of fighting in intervals, and he noted that whenever Canelo eases off the pressure, Crawford will push him to give his absolute best again. Potter concluded that the Canelo who once fought at an A+ level is now operating closer to an A-.
I think now he's in the ring with someone who, when he sees him pull off, Crawford's going to do what it takes to make him go back like that, you know? So I think there's been a decline in Canelo. Canelo, as I've said before, he used to be an A+ fighter. Now he's an A- fighter. You're still better than 98% of the fighters, especially in your division. But it's a very small but if you have trained eyes, you can see it. I don't know if you can compare their resumes. I mean, Canelo has just done vastly more than Crawford. I don't really. That's funny. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm a boxer, but I've never looked at resumes anyway. My thing is, what can you do, and when you're presented with something, what do you do to turn those tables and things of that nature? So we've seen Canelo step up. We've seen him step up time and time again. So when you're looking at his resume now and he's fighting the Edgar Berlanga that respectfully doesn't belong in the ring with him, you say that's Canelo Alvarez. Canelo fought Miguel Cotto. He fought Floyd Mayweather. He fought the who's. And now it's his turn to have these sort of nights until this kind of night presents itself.
Moreover, Sean Potter also noted that if the Canelo-Crawford fight had not been finalized, the only remaining matchup for Canelo would have been a bout with David Benavidez. He stated and added that Canelo has been operating at this level since his teenage years, giving him the influence to shape his own path in the sport.
And if it's not Terence Crawford, I think the only other big fight out there for him is a fight with David Benavidez. I think it's a fight that we all want to see. But also, you have to respect this man has been doing this since he was 15, 16 years old. He's been doing it at a very high level since he was probably 18 or 19 years old. Whatever this man wants to do, let him do it.
Interestingly, Tim Bradley offered fresh insights, emphasizing that the fight will come down to strategy and tactics, and he explained that putting Canelo Alvarez on his back foot changes the way he fights.
Look, you put Canelo on his back foot, he's a different fighter. A completely different fighter when you put him on his back foot. Yeah, he can move a little bit, but yeah, he likes to come forward with that power. But you put him on his back foot, let me tell you similar too. You know this guy named Usyk who put Fury on his back foot? Yeah, push the pace on him. Yeah, with volume, feints. Put Canelo on his back foot, Crawford. That's what you gotta do. You gotta put him on his back foot. Hell to the damn.
But Bradley highlighted that it is up to Terence Crawford to dictate the pace, noting that Crawford does not even need to fight in an orthodox stance. He pointed out that Canelo consistently struggles against the jab, having faced difficulty with it against other elite opponents.
And hey, I would advise you to do it as early as damn possible. Do it as early as possible, because guess what? If you do that, you're going to get control right away of the judges, right? They're going to be looking at you. You're going to dictate the pace. You're going to dictate the flow of the fight. You got to have him react to you, not you reacting to him. That's how you gain control of the fight real quick, real soon. Get active with that jab. You don't necessarily have to come out in a southpaw stance. You can come out in the orthodox stance. You know, what's the punch that always hits Canelo all the time? Easy work, the jab. Triple G was able to land his jab over and over. Floyd Mayweather was able to land his jab over and over. Bivol was able to land his jab over and over.
Consequently, Bradley suggested and stressed that if Canelo retreats, Crawford must press forward to control the fight.
You control him, you push him back, you walk forward. Anytime Canelo give you an inch going back, you take that inch going forward. That's how you gonna get this done. You gonna have to be brave, my man Crawford. You gonna have to be brave.
From outside the boxing world, music manager and record executive Wack 100 expressed his support for Terence Crawford, saying he wants to see him come out on top. He noted that if Crawford can absorb Canelo's power and approach the fight smartly, he has a real chance to win. However, Wack 100 warned that if Crawford enters unprepared, the fight could turn into a very different challenge for him.
Who you got?
I'm a Crawford fan. I want to see Crawford win. If Crawford could take the hit and is a smart fighter in this fight, he could win. But if Crawford did not prepare, this is a different kind of fight for him. Canelo's a different type of Latino guy, bro. He gonna bring it, he's skilled. We seen Floyd do his thing with him, but that's Floyd.
Moreover, Wack 100 noted and added that Terence Crawford cannot afford to trade blows toe-to-toe with Canelo Alvarez. He explained that if Crawford sticks to boxing and controls the pace, he should carry and could carry the fight into the later rounds.
He can't go in brawling with dude. If Crawford go in at boxing, I think Crawford got action about the ninth round. Ninth round, You know, you ain't gonna get Canelo out the way that fast.
However, WAC 100 warned that if Crawford chooses to brawl in the opening rounds, he could find himself in serious trouble by the 5th round, but he voiced his belief in Crawford, stating that if he were betting, he would be putting his money on Terence.
But if he come in brawling with him in them first 3 rounds, he gonna be in trouble by the 5th. If I had to put my money down, I'ma bet on Crawford. And he's smart. I mean, if I see it, he's a boxer. I'm not a professional boxer. He knows what he got to do. I'm pretty sure he's been studying it. You know, my man A-Verb is real, you know, he knows him. And he told me he been in there on his A game. So, I'm definitely, I ain't gonna bet against it. I ain't gonna bet against the brother. I ain't doing that.
As the countdown to fight night narrows, the tension surrounding Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez continues to mount, and the grand arrival set the stage for one of boxing's most intriguing showdowns, and the debate among the analysts only fuels the anticipation. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell icon, because we're bringing you the latest updates around the fight.